Hi, Yvonne.
Hi, Evie. Hi, Evie. I have to say, I'm loving your hair today, and I'm loving the way that breeze is just like lifting it slightly. It's looking really cool. I love that.
Yeah, I love the colors of the breeze too, because I feel like I'm in an oven. But hey, yeah, you can't complain. The weather is what it is, isn't it?
It is what it is. Yeah, it started. We've started to have rain this week, so that's been interspersed with little pots of sunshine. But yeah, it's all good. That's one of those things that is definitely outside of our control. So
For sure. So let's not control what we can't control, right?
absolutely. Let it go, let it flow, let it go. Excellent. So
what are we talking about today?
Well, so today we're going to look at what we've kind of named as the control illusion. Funnily enough, this sense of either our ability to be able to control everything or control nothing. Sometimes, either way. And what are some of those phrases that come up when we feel like we must control something? And I know that we've touched on this slightly already. So like this first phrase, I know that you it kind of has two top saboteurs that are likely to be using this phrase, and you can relate to both of those. So I feel like I'm going to name it, and then I'm going to let you talk about it.
Thankfully, you're not going to shame it, because
no naming and shaming. We're just gonna look at it, because I think most of us have used similar phrases. Most of us in situations, and it's the story we tell ourselves for whatever reason we are applying it, right? But this first phrase is, if I don't do it, it won't get done right.
Oh yes. And I can definitely put my hand up and say, yes, I've done it. And I've done it numerous times. And even to this day, after all this work, occasionally my controller pops up and, gives me this pep talk that, you have to do it, because if you don't do it, it's not going to get done. And if it's going to get done, it won't have the standard that you want, and blah, 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 blah. And you know how the controller can actually manipulate you, just right, like every other saboteur, into submission after all this chatter. But because of the work we do, I managed to catch him, and it's a him for me, my controller, and very quickly. So I say, here you go again, let's change that around. And it could be anything like, okay, even if it's not done to the standard that I want to have it done, so what? What will that mean? How will that take away from it being done? And so on and so forth. So there are always ways to get rid of that sense that, okay, I need to be in charge. I need to do it. I need to lead. I need, because all you do is deplete your own strength and your own energy for things that really can be delegated, can be left to be done by others, and it can also create a big rift, let's say, for the people around you, whether it is in a work environment or like at home. Because you are not the only one that has controllers, saboteurs. A lot of people do. And when people come together and they all have an idea and they all feel that they can contribute, and one just decides that no, you cannot contribute, that you're not going to contribute well enough or to my standard, then that can be a big issue. So
absolutely.
have you ever felt like this or had that?
Yeah, I think, yeah, definitely, you know, hyper achiever mode, when that has been at play, that has come up, and it's quite often been, I just need to get it done, and I need to get it done now. Therefore, there is no time lapse to be able to wait for somebody else to do anything. It's like, you know, that for me, if I don't do it, it won't get done right. For me, it's more, if it doesn't get done right now, then that's my issue. That is quite often what has come up for me in the past. Very much like you, now I recognize it. You know, whenever I feel that, I'm just like, hold on a moment. This is when you're working with other people, it's not all about you. So that's the first thing that, you know, I'm just like, I hear that, but this is not all about me. And I think even if you think about us working together, you know, and we work incredibly well together, and there's a high level of respect. And I know that if something's not quite where we need it to be, either one of us will call ourselves or the other out in a respectful way, not the way that the controller or the hyperachiever may react. And I think that that's important, that it doesn't, in kind of letting go of that overt, overpowering control, you can just get to a place where, do you know what? Somebody else can do something. If it's not quite the way we need it to be, and there is a we, not an I, we can talk about it, and we can just say, okay, you know, this is close, but perhaps we need to change it. What, you know, what do you think could happen here? It's a very different approach. And I think when we are able to be mature about these things and understand that it's not just about we can just find better solutions, because now we have the two heads are better than one scenario. And I think also it stops us from keeping people small.
Yep.
Right? Because if we're absolutely dominating the game with our controller and our hyperachiever, what we're not doing is allowing others to step into a space and learn on the go and find their way. You know, and I think that is such a crucial thing that we all need to be able to do. Is like, I had a conversation actually this week with a client, and we were talking about delegating, and she goes, just, you know, if I give it to somebody else, they're just not going to get it done, or not done the way she wants it to. And the whole point is just that, but if you don't ever delegate, how will they ever learn? Where is the lesson going to come from? How are they going to have the experience? How will they ever get better? So for me, this is where we need to be able to be really aware of that phrase, and actually, how do we turn that around? How do we make it so that it works for everybody?
Absolutely. And you know, the other thing, what you touched on here, which is great, is like usually controllers are like really feeling that they are leading, right? Because there is an element of control in leading, right? But if you lead the way you described, is so much more effective, and so many more things are done. And in reality, good leaders never really lead from the front, because that feels like pulling everyone behind you, or pushing them to get somewhere. They are leading by developing their team. They're leading by allowing people to be who they are, have the chance to do things their own way as well, because who says that my way is the best way? Nobody. So that itself is a huge advantage for anyone out there listening as a controller. You might find that and I have done that for sure, and felt it, that you become a way better leader by allowing people to contribute, and accepting with respect what those contributions are, and managing them in the right way, and delegating, of course, because as you said, I mean, how would anyone have ever developed if their leaders were just, telling them what to do?
Exactly. Exactly. And there's that whole thing around delegating or giving somebody, just asking, getting somebody to do something. It's about the self-development. It's also about the trust, because if people on if you are the leader or a leader and you are not delegating, you are not sharing the load, then that brings up kind of resentment and things in the others, because like they don't trust me to do anything. It only gives me really kind of simple stuff, or things that aren't really significant, and they can often be the reasons why people end up leaving. It's just like, what am I doing here? My contributions aren't valued, and even when I do get to contribute, it's little stuff that doesn't really make any massive impact, and I'm not even thanked for those either. Then this whole list of reasons come up for people to feel like, what's the point? Why am I even here? And I do feel that as leaders, just as you said, Evie, one of the defining qualities of a great leader is the person who is absolutely willing to share the load so that others can rise, others can develop, others can find what they're great at. And then as a leader, you get to delegate the right things to the right person. Like, this person's brilliant at doing that. Fantastic. And they're great and they love it. I need to ensure that they get that, as well as cross development, getting them to do other things that they perhaps aren't brilliant at, but let them understand the fundamentals of it. I know that as I look back at my work history, when I was an employee, and I had he was actually a regional manager at a house club that I worked at, and he was phenomenal. I mean, such a brilliant, oh my goodness, because he would listen. What is it that you want? Where do you want to go? And let me ensure that you're having the development needs put in place to allow you to do that. That's exactly how he worked across his region. It wasn't just me. Anybody in his region got that message. That was so empowering, because it's like, well, actually, I want to do this role. Fantastic. Okay, let's create a plan that allows you to do that. Never, ever did I hear from him, I need to be controlling everything. And as a regional manager, why would you do that? I mean, that's probably the quickest way to a massive burnout of some description.
Absolutely.
And we just need to remember that if we are trying to control every single thing, then don't be surprised when our health goes down the pan. There is no surprise.
No, not at all. And you can, like, for the mothers out there, that is also a message for you.
Yes.
Because how many mothers would do everything for their homes, their children, their husbands, this, that, and the other, and then all what happens is that, yes, they have their home as they want, and everything else, I suppose, but that is not sustainable. Exactly. And I find it quite refreshing when I see moms that they speak to their even toddlers and say, okay, delegate, show them what to do instead of doing it for them. Yeah. And like, you see how this develops really independent kids, and how wonderful it is that you can have the burden of, I don't know, just putting the toys away off your own hands,
Yes.
It's a simple thing, but it's not that simple when you have like 3 million other things to do. And it's fantastic that you can show how this is done to your child. Yeah.
I love that. And that is so important, because it's not just about in the professional space, it's in our personal spaces as well. It's how we show up in all areas of our life, this impact, you know, or if I don't do it, it won't get done. If I don't paint the wall, then it's never going to get painted. If I don't fix, and then suddenly, you know, you're doing a million things and just thinking, gosh, no one cares. Why am I having to do it all? Well, hold on, because you just took it over. You took over the show. So yeah, that's probably where the issue is. You haven't sat down and had the conversations and said, look, this stuff needs doing. Who's going to do what? Who can do what? And let's figure it out.
Oh my God, that is so powerful, Yvonne. It's exactly how our saboteurs talk to us and how they spiral. I mean, you explained it so in such lovely detail there. Like, because at the end of the day, anything that is not sustainable, what causes in our bodies, and that is in our bodies, literally, is that resentment. And that you can feel it everywhere. Because
Yeah.
you think that, okay, nobody cares, but all that has happened in reality is that you didn't signal to anyone that you need the help, or
Yeah.
that you don't want to do everything by yourself. And I've been there, really.
Yeah.
And it's not a good spot to be, because like all of a sudden everybody becomes them, someone that you really, you feel that they don't value you. And if you feel others don't value you, then how much do you value yourself? And it becomes a vicious cycle, because
Yeah.
in reality, because you're doing everything for everyone, that shows to you that you don't value yourself. You don't value your time. You don't value your own priorities.
So true.
And then whose fault is that?
Exactly.
And I'm talking to me a few years back, really, right now.
Yeah.
And I hope that message lands somewhere, because, it is a truly important message.
Yeah, definitely. And I think for me, I can see how that's shown up for me in the past. And I think my hyperachiever would then just play games with my avoider, so that actually, so there were things that I must do it, and then it would be overwhelming because there were so many things that I must do, and then my avoider would come in, and then things wouldn't get finished, even if they got started, right? So, we just need to be aware of, and I like to think of this like the saboteurs have like a tag team. So it may be one initially, and then another one will tag on. Now you've got double that message, and that is incredibly powerful within you. So being able to understand them and how they show up and the kind of messages that they bring forth really helps you to raise that awareness about what to listen out for. Where did that come from? I wonder who that is. And actually, more importantly, what is it that I need to do in this moment? Because I know that is probably going to take me down a road I don't want to go down. How do I do something different? I think with this particular phrase, if I don't do it, it won't get done right, or it won't get done. Start practicing the art of delegating, because I'm going to call it the art of delegating, because there is an art to it. It's not just about, this needs doing and just giving it to anyone. It's like, who's right for this piece of work? Who do I feel will be motivated to get this done? And at home with the kids, at what age is it really okay for me to give them this thing to do, and to show them how to do it? Because yes, there's the time. Show them how to do it, and then let them do it. And even if they don't do it exactly as you've shown them, if they started to do it, don't stop them. They'll get better. They'll get better with time.
Oh, yes, absolutely. I mean, that happens with anyone, not just like young kids. Like I think I have shared that story sometime in the past, but like I stopped my partner cooking because I thought, he cooks, then the kitchen becomes a mess, and I don't know what, and I don't want to deal with that. And what happened is that he's a fabulous cook, and I now don't have him cook, or don't have the pleasure of him cooking as often as I could have. Hopefully now we're getting back to the, I just have let all these things go. But like, these are the things that you do to yourself, and people get trained, especially when it is convenient for them. And then it becomes very inconvenient for you, the controller. So yeah, don't do that. I know it didn't help me.
You will pay the price. You will pay the price. That's the thing, is that you do end up paying the price. And again, you can end up going down the woe is me route. My goodness, nobody notices all the stuff that I do, and blah blah blah, and all the other stories. They just compound. They compound. So the most important thing with that is just learn to delegate. Learn to give others the opportunity. And also there's something in that, giving others the opportunity, one, to show up, to show what they can do, to develop themselves. And actually, how lovely when somebody is like, yeah, I'll do that. How are we not appreciating that? How are we not appreciating
exactly No, that is definitely much more empowering for you and for others.
Indeed.
100%. So
excellent.
What is our next phrase? It's I have to handle everything myself. Oh yes.
Yes. And I mean, again, these are two phrases that are interlinked. Actually, this particular one has slightly different saboteurs mainly at play. The pleaser and the victim. The woe is me, which I literally just mentioned. I have to do everything myself because, nobody wants to help me, or nobody can do this, or whatever the story is that we want to wrap around that phrase, it comes up. Or from the pleaser's perspective, I need to be seen. And that again speaks into that lack of self-value. I need to be seen to be doing all these things so that people see me and appreciate me. All of that can be fed. And really, it's about equating independence with worthiness. And no, not so much. Have I used the phrase, I have to handle everything myself? Oh, sorry. In my lifetime, 100%. As a parent, definitely. Oh my goodness, I've got to clear the room, I've got to tidy this, I've got to put all the mess away. Again, what was that all about? Actually, I had every opportunity to stop and just say, okay, I need to educate my son to do better and help him do that. Fortunately, he got there anyway, but I could have really helped him on that journey, right?
That's the thing. And I think that this phrase sort of like derives from the previous one in a way, because the victim and the pleaser saboteur, especially the victim saboteur, I think is like the one that like holds hands, as you said earlier, with the other, the hyperachiever and the controller, because it's like after you are trying to control everything and nothing really works the way you want, then what happens? You turn back to yourself, and you're like, oh, poor me. Nobody cares. Nobody helps me. Nobody this, nobody that. So you can see how the saboteurs are like feeding from each other, and how one can actually link to the other one or bring the other one to play.
Yes.
And it can become quite a vicious cycle, can't it? Like this. Because
absolutely. Well, it's as you said at the very beginning, this is like an energy drain, physically and mentally and potentially emotionally. All of those things, you just give away so much energy with no real gain. If the gain is, well, I did it, okay, great, but how do you feel? Because when you are in these cycles, you may get it done, but how do you really feel? Miserable, quite often, exhausted, possibly. There are lots of then kind of energetically low energies that are tied to having done those things. They're not, are they really wins? Are they really wins? Aren't there better wins to be had by knowing that you don't have to do everything? And I just think this is a habit that so many, and I'm going to say women, I'm not saying men don't have them too, but so many women end up kind of taken on board in some shape or form, that, everything is down to me. And that's how we end up with these lists of a million things that happen, and we're not even on that list. There is no space on this list. How can I possibly take time for me? That would just be ridiculous when I've got 2,000 things already on my list.
And it is quite a like, I don't know, an oxymoron, because the more you appreciate yourself, your own time, the more you energize yourself, you're more likely to be more effective in most of the things that you're taking on. But
Yes.
we don't do that, right? We go the other way around. We're just piling ourselves up with everything, and like under the sun. And I think our generation, because we not only had to deal with a house, we had to deal with like the house and the kids, whatever, like we're also out there in the workforce. And that didn't stop, like especially in countries like Greece, for example, it didn't stop women from actually taking on full responsibility of their home, and at the same time work for like 8 hours a day outside the house. So of course it made sense. The last thing you want is add more time to do something for you. But that's the first thing you should do. That's the thing. It's like, turn it on its head. Crazy.
Yes.
Crazy.
Yes. Well, and we hear the same old phrases all the time, don't we? The half empty cup, or the empty cup, or you can't pour from an empty cup, and all those phrases. And I'm sure people get sick to death of hearing them. I really understand it, but they're there to serve a purpose. They're there to remind us that actually, if we want to live fully, and I think this also just comes back to, what do you want your life to look like? If you want to live fully, and if you want to feel great about life, and you want to enjoy life, how do you do it if you're depleted? How, in goodness names, will you ever squeeze joy out of life if there's nothing in you? You have to have something flowing through you. And the only way to ensure that happens is to make sure that you are meeting your needs. And your needs are your responsibility, not somebody else's. That doesn't mean to say other people can't help you, but you need to be able to, these are my needs, and I need to ensure that they are met. And then all the other things that need to happen, how do I ensure that they happen without me going minus, down into depletion, and ensuring that the people around me are also having their needs met, but also being part of what this is. But everybody needs to have those needs met.
But that's the reason why communication and discussions are important. And I think that also part of our work is like to ensure that each and every woman in our circles knows that this is okay. It is okay to fulfill your needs. It's not like you're taking away from your kids, you're taking away from your husband, you're taking away from your elder parents and whatever.
Yeah.
Meeting your own needs is fundamental to be able to meet anybody else's needs. Not only that, like to show up as a role model for your kids, for like even other women in your own circles, that are younger, that they need the support, they need to take how do you call it, to get permission to do things for themselves. So
and oh my goodness, that's such a key point, Emmy, because again, I had a call last week with a client, and we were talking about, she knows the kind of leader she wants to be. Like she described like this beautiful vision of this leader, yet her actions were in complete contrast, to the point that she's not burnt out once or twice, she's burnt out several times, because that fundamental piece of realizing that her needs must be met in order for her to show up the way that she wants to, without that energy and time put into self, that vision will always feel completely out of reach. And it's not, it's completely within her reach. But that ability to turn things on its head and actually say, if I replenish myself, not only will I show up as the leader that I want to, I will also demonstrate that it's possible to those around me, that you can look after yourself. whilst also taking on the responsibility of whatever it is that you're doing. You can, but you've got to do it from a place of fullness, not empty.
That's it. And you need to realize and recognize it yourself, right? For yourself first. No matter where you end up, no matter who your circle is, it all starts from you. All starts from inside. And I think that's the reason why a lot of people are burning out, because they don't realize that. Because burnout, in essence, is that having no more to give, and no more to give, not even to yourself, to anyone. Well, forget about yourself, no one. And it can be detrimental for health. And you really don't want to get down that road, because it can be like years before you get back to normal, right?
Oh, good grief. Yeah. I mean, burnout is, we talk about it, I think we talk about it sometimes quite flippantly, but it's massively impactful on health. It's not a short term, oh, well, I burnt out last week and I'm back again this week. It doesn't work that way. And then if we keep on going on the cycles of burnout, we're forever damaging our body. Just because we can't see the damage, i.e., some of that damage may be internally, doesn't mean to say that it's not happening. And I think another really important thing to add to this whole, both of these phrases really, is that they are also giving us that message, or reminding us that we are not meant to do everything on our own. We are not even meant to do everything on our own. We are designed for support, having support networks. You know, it's not just a nice phrase. It's something we should actively be creating if we don't already have one. Not everybody has a close-knit family. Not everybody has, necessarily a close, even circle of friends. But we do have the ability and the capacity to create one, whatever that may look like, whoever that may look like, which is why we have communities like Permission to Thrive and many, many, many other communities out there. Is an opportunity to kind of find those people who maybe others may not necessarily understand what's happening in the moment, but here's a group that I know I can fit in with, and I know that they do, and they'll hold that space for me. And that's my support. And my goodness, we all need it.
Absolutely. And you know, the thing is that came to me right now as you were speaking, Yvonne, is that if you get to the stage, or like just before burnout, even a community will not be able to help. And not only that, in your mind, it's only going to be, oh, that's an additional something that will need my attention. And you're not going to do that. Not at that stage. At that stage, I mean, the help that you will need is like, I don't know, probably professional help, like, you know, a doctor.
Yeah.
But that is to recognize way before then that there are containers out there that can help, that can give the support that you need, that they can allow you to let your hair down and have a good laugh, for example. Definitely. And be there as sounding boards, or whatever it is that you need, right?
Definitely. And, you know, we know that stories, you know, most of us thrive on stories, that sharing, that having an insight into somebody else's, that sometimes makes us think, oh my goodness, I've had something similar, but I did something completely different and that didn't work. It just opens us up to the possibilities. And I think this second phrase, I have to handle everything myself, is really leaning into our ability to ask for the help and support we need when we need it, and not be afraid to, not think that it's, oh my goodness, I'm so weak, if I ask for help I should be able to manage everything. You know, if I've chosen to have a job and look after my home, and then that's my choice and I should be able to do it all. Let's not keep on using those kind of outlines that do not support us, that do not help us, and instead come back to what it is to be a human. And humanity is, we are connected we need support. And let's ask for the support that we need when we need it, not 7, 8 months down the line when we're in such a state. You know, not only do we need it, we need so much more.
100%. 100%. So well said.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think, I know we're over as always, but yeah, we can talk until the cows come. Yeah.
Yeah, I think when we bring our messages, we just use the top speech, right?
It's been so lovely seeing you here again and
always a pleasure. Before we jump off, we just need to let you know that we are running a challenge.
We do.
You need to go to our landing page, our homepage, if you like, and take a look, because it's going to be happening this month, kickstarting on the 19th. As a warm-up for the actual challenge, which will start on the 22nd of September. So do go to permissiontothrive.online, check it out, see if it's for you, or you may know somebody who would really value it, get something from it. It's really all about, you know, de-stressing on the spot. What are those tools that we can access to help us in the moment? You know, without having to take huge amounts of time out of our days, etc., because we understand that plates are full. But like we've literally just said, you know, if we don't make time to meet our needs now, we're going to need a hell of a lot more time later when we are flat out and we literally are not able to do anything. So check out the challenge. And as always, I think just to say that at Permission to Thrive, we are here to help you rewrite your story.
Without grind, but with
grace.
Grace. There you go. That's what people in this show, so we can make sure that each one of us, at least one of us, will have it together. See, that's the
teamwork. Effie, as always, a joy and a pleasure. To anyone who's listened in live, thank you so much. If you listen to the replay, thank you too. Any thoughts, comments, please do share them. We're really open to hearing diverse perspectives on this. Let's have the conversations, because that's what really makes this all worthwhile. Thank you, Effie.
Thank you, Yvonne. Thank you. Take care all.